back to another video. In this particular video, I will be doing a analysis as to why man might have been obsessed with having their name remembered for thousands of years. And the idea that until the perception of time became aware to humans, humans were not aware of the cyclical changes that occurred from day to day to day. You could consider it an animalistic like nature, a lack of self-awareness. But in the moment that man discovered that in each moment you could essentially feel a perception of time that could be slowed or sped up according to what you would eat, we then find an invitation to the idea that the fruit of knowledge, as an example, would have been of a psychoactive nature, causing humans to essentially perceive a different rate at which said day would pursue. Now, in the understanding that we would only essentially come to know our existence from a day-to-day basis, meaning if you were an individual whom at said point would not even have a name, you would not be remembered. But now came the time when man began to name each other. And in the battles of man, you would find that if you were successful, your name got to live on to tomorrow. Whereas if you did not live on in said day, your name would perish in one day. But as we began to explore the astrologies, we began to find that in said cyclical patterns that repeat themselves, we could capture a measure of time through monuments, which all of a sudden allowed us as humans to be able to basically place a longer measure of time beyond one particular day. And beginning in this measure, we could find that a cyclical change or pattern would occur within the stars once you created a frame around said sky at the horizon, such as the Stonehenge, which happens to be a giant clock. It is meant to capture the stars, and each time one particular star causes a passage through the said gateway, you could actively say that that is a measure of time. We could measure said aeon, which then began the notion behind why man might have wanted their name remembered for thousands of years. In the conquering aspect of things, you could argue that beyond just glory for the day, but glory for thousands of years to your name. In the conquering aspect of things, you would find the expansion of kingdoms that would last thousands of years. And within said kingdoms, very few men nor women are remembered for thousands of years. The beginning portions regarding conquering stem from the moment a man decides to capture the day. Carpe diem. In a Shakespearean quote, you find a notion which is to capture the day. which means to be the capturer of said world, to own your life. But if you were to own your life, what might be the cost of said life? In ancient times, we would argue that for your name to capture said day, to capture said week, to capture said month, to capture said year, you would find the notion regarding a man's greed, regarding the expansion of said kingdoms, regarding in a safer garden for their children, for their women, and their fellow men. But what is this greed? Why must a man capture said time to his name? You could argue everybody wants to rule the world. And in the world or said universe, you are either in cooperation or in competition within said universe. All things obey said law. And in understanding the competition aspect of things, which we do not live in a competitive time any longer, resulting in man no longer seeking to capture said day. And then we see the beginning portions of the dehumanizing aspects, at least to the human experience, where we no longer live to our full potential each day. And in said wisdom, you could find that it wasn't the educated that was the highest crowned, but simply a carpenter, such as Jesus Christ, whom through the work of his life was remembered for thousands of years. What might have been this work? Well, apart from carpentry, you could argue that he performed miracles based on understanding the fundamental nature of the universe. In order to build, you must destroy. And this equilibrium results in a balancing state of energies. If I now pull away from the environment to build a temple, I can house a faith of people within said temple, building their own spirituality. But the moment I build said temple, I need to destroy the lives of another or others, their habitat. And in the progression of building a world, you cannot start from scratch once a world is laid out. In the understanding of a particular teaching, such as a meeting, even in order to sustain your life as an individual, you must destroy the lives of another being, whether it be animal or plant life. But regardless, you are either cooperating or competing within said universe. In the competition, we find the beginning of capitalism, which in capitalism you could create a name for yourself that begins a business such as empires, that could achieve great heights and conquer the world. How long will said empires last, according to said wealth generated by said business or businesses? When one truly wishes to see whom truly rules the world, who does truly rule the world? Is it the governments, or is it the corporations that are run by rich men, whom might be remembered by some for thousands of years? In the understanding that a particular faith may be driven regarding having your name remembered for thousands of years. What would be the fuel to generate said travel? Because once your name can travel through thousands of years at a time, you could essentially say you are now given the opportunity to come back. Thank you.